one last thing about making money. Oh, it's just like, oh, you're professionally go pro. The NCAA is kind of battling with image and likeness, and with the change of times where now these 18 to 22-year-olds have thousands, in some cases millions of followers on social media platforms, that they actually have the ability to be influencers and make money based off their image and likeness. If they are, Trevor Lawrence of Clemson football team, or a really, Sydney McLaughlin during her time. She was probably more famous than anyone else in the track and field community could probably have made money as a freshman in Kentucky. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think eventually the NCAA will allow athletes to make money off of their name, image, and likeness?
Well, first of all, if anyone knows me, they know I'm for athletes' rights and making money. So let's just take that off the table, 100%. And I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. But I look at it in a broader perspective. I think that the names you mentioned, the people you mentioned, are exactly right. But I'm also talking about, we have international athletes, their home countries. What about a car dealership that wants to give you a car, or a small restaurant that wants you to promote them? So it's not going to be just the big football player or big basketball player, like a lot of people say, that get an endorsement. Yes, they'll get that, but you'll have athletes that can get local deals. You'll have athletes that'll get, that in track and field will get shoe contracts. I think it's better, not just because the athletes make money, because if you look at some of these great athletes, they can stay in school. So you can make as much money in school as you can get out. Why not just stay and have the university pay your scholarship and get your degree and be a part of a team? Because at our level in track and field, you get more attention in college in the United States. You get more television time in college in the United States than you do post-collegiate. So you can build a brand where a Ches Red a few years ago stayed in, and look what he did for his brand, or Grant Holloway. They did for their brand. But there are a lot of kids that left early, and they, in a lot of ways, they disappeared because there's no television. There's no attention given at that level. So I think it's the best of both worlds for track and field, for tennis, for these kind of sports, because they can stay in school, be a part of a team, get a lot of exposure, but also get paid. And I think it's going to be a lot sooner than later.
Do you think it will affect like college recruiting in the track and field world? Because will it be like, hey, come to Oregon and now you're a Nike athlete. You're now, because everyone dreams of going, like, in order to go pro in track, you're basically signing a shoe deal. So do you think certain schools will be able to kind of lean on and be like, hey, you now have officially signed a shoe deal with Nike because you're at Oregon? Do you think that will be a recruiting battle that will kind of happen for track and field?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't have a problem with that, because I can say come to Houston because we're the fourth largest city in America, and we have tens of thousands of businesses that we could leverage for you. So you flip it and you say come to Oregon for Nike, but Eugene, Oregon's a small town. So it's really funny how it flips. It can flip in a lot of ways. Los Angeles would be big. You're like UCLA, USC. You say, look, we're USC and UCLA. We're a huge city. We got a lot going on. You said you want to be an actor later. Well, you can come here, and I know people. So I think it's just the way they're going to leverage it. Because right now, the way the system is, it's just based on a conference thing, and everyone doesn't have access, and the money is funneled to certain areas. Well, I think it creates more opportunity for schools that are in different cities and different opportunities. It'd be great for Houston. I mean, we're a big city that loves sports and a ton of money here. I think that our athletes would be supported and pushed. You're going to tell me right now, Final Four, every one of those athletes wouldn't have a car deal, a meat deal, or something. Absolutely. And maybe not all a shoe deal, but they sure would have something. And I think a lot of our track athletes with H-Town Speed City would have something. So there's going to be an advantage in different areas, in different ways. This is how you leverage those advantages. And you know what? It's probably going on a lot behind the scenes. Well, we know because we have a big issue going on with that. So now it'll just be out in the open, and I think that it'll be a big advantage for the athletes.
I think it would also be kind of cool because, say, someone like Noah Lyles, let's say this rule was in place when Noah Lyles was a senior in high school. He still goes to Florida then. He signs his shoe deal, but he runs for Florida. And then all of a sudden, the NCAA is having all these phenom athletes who go pro early just like stay in college a few years longer. Like there's no reason for Grant Holloway to leave Florida. He's still going to be, it's not like he's still being coached by Mike. So now you could just still represent Florida. You can still represent Florida and still go off to the world championships. Like it's just you could get paid. Like, all these
Yeah.
kids who go pro 18, 19, there's no reason for them to leave school now because they can still compete for the school, still train under their coach. They just have a different shoe on their foot.
Yeah, and that's what I say. And then the other things like, for instance, 2018, Cameron, and let me see, it
Eli,
was Cameron and Obi and Kamari all made the national team. Well, they had to turn down the prize money because they couldn't go it. You can't make any money from a diamond league meet because look at track and field. You can go to international events, make money. You can go to national team events and make money, and you could get a shoe dealer endorsement, and you can do all of that while in college. So it's funny how a lot of the Olympic sports would benefit much more than the professional league team sports because there is no access for them in the summers and events. Whereas track athletes could be, they go to the world championships, they can keep their bonuses. They go to all these events, they can make their money. So you could have track athletes could be, and tennis, let's say, could be the richest athletes in college sports, which is other than a few football players or whatever that get big endorsements. But the bottom line is that a lot of the Olympic sport athletes will do very well by being able to have access to earnings while they're still in college. And I think I love it, and I think it's great. And then now you say I want to not only go to the great school, but I want to go to the place where I can maximize my talent, the earliest and the best. So there are a lot of pros and cons, but I think the pros are big. I want them to earn their living. I want them to stop treating, amateur athletes and college athletes kind of like in a lot of ways, just products and something you could use to sell to make more money for yourself. And I think it's time to do it.